Hi, and welcome back to our channel, Pay Down Debt Solutions. I'm Jen, and I want to piggyback off of my video from the other day since we got so many questions regarding inconsistent income and inconsistent pay. So, what I wanted to do for you guys was carry this out a little bit further because I did carry it out 1 year, even though I said we took an average, right, of 3 years for these students, and we took it off of their income taxes, right? So we kind of know exactly what they did, and I want to make it a little more relevant and go 2 years with it. And then I'm actually going to graph it out for you guys so you can see, that pictorial view of what this actually looks like. So I'm going to kind of do it. So this is in a sense a second part for you. Okay. So again, my name is Jen, and sometimes you get Dan, who is my counterpart here. We teach velocity banking through our company, Pay Down Debt Solutions. Okay. So we created this channel for you guys because we were and are just like you. We've been payment poor, we've been payment strapped, we get it, we know what it's like, and we found a better way than the traditional banking that you're probably currently doing today. And if you're not, and if you're learning velocity banking, good for you because this is going to change your life. I can almost guarantee that, right? Well, I can't guarantee it, but I can almost guarantee it. So let's get back into a little bit the inconsistently or consistently inconsistent, right? So we've got this. So even if you have inconsistent pay, all right, we've got this and I can show you a better way. So when you have inconsistent pay, it can make debt very tricky and very stressful. And I get it, right? Because if you don't know how to achieve the results you want, then you feel stuck. You feel stuck, you feel trapped, and you're not really sure what to do. You don't know how to get out of it. You continue traditionally banking in the way that's going to keep you payment poor from here on out. And so we want to stop that. We want to stop that, and we want to start doing velocity banking because it works. You guys, the outpouring that we have had from, students that we have worked with has just been so amazing. And I thank every single one of you that have come to us and allowed us the opportunity to peek inside your life and help you with your situation. And I'm so excited for you, and I can't wait for you guys to feel the debt freedom that you deserve. So thank you all for contacting us. And the rest of you out there, if you have questions or you want to know how to make this work, study the videos. They will help you. They will get you there. And if you feel like you just need that extra help, we're here for you. You would just email us at info@paydowndebtsolutions.com. That is listed, down here for you. So if you guys need some extra help, by all means, contact us. Okay. But again, don't need it. You guys have these videos, and oh my gosh, we have close to 100 videos at this point. So hopefully you'll find one that's relevant to you. And our goal is to keep getting better and better and better and provide you with more clarity and more deeper explanations every single time we do a video. So that is my goal for you. And if I'm not doing my job, then make sure you let me know. Tell me where I've misstepped so that I can help and make it a little bit easier for you. Okay. Now, we know that using a line of credit will make it simple and less stressful if you have pay, right? If you have pay that changes from month to month. And there are so many of you out there that do. So, what happens when your pay is inconsistent, but yet you have the same bills every single month? But sometimes your check might not cover those bills, right? So, what do you do in that case? I know that gets stressful, especially when you've taken on debts that you think you can afford. And lo and behold, at the end of the day, you realize, man, I really can't, right? So a lot of you have found yourself there, or life happens, you have oh shiznit moments, and you take on extra debt because you don't have a choice. And then what do you do and where do you go? Well, where you're going to go is the place that Dan and I talk about all the time, which is always a line and never alone, okay? Because it's that line of credit and those lines of credit that are going to help you through the situations when you don't have a way to cover it, okay? And rather than, robbing yourself from, for your 401k or doing something like that, use the bank. Use the bank to help fund you and float you through the times that are a little bit trickier, right? Knowing that you have income, right? So if you have inconsistent income, the best thing that you can do is take an average. I want you to look back 3 to 5 years, okay? And I want you to average that out and see where you're at. Now, with the students from the other day, the real estate agents, they were pretty consistent over a 3-year period of time, okay? So their average was 110.9. That's what they averaged, okay? But the great thing for them was each year they got better and better and better, and they made more and more money. So that was a good thing for them too. So now I do have a correction to make though. In my video, I realized that I said it was 2023 to 2024. That was incorrect. It was 2024 to January of 2025. Okay. So, and that's relevant here because I'm going to go back one more year for you and I'm going to run it back from one more year. And so again, it's a hypothetical because we're taking the true year now of 2023 to 24 and then 24 to 25. And we're going to run it out for you so you can see what this looks like over a longer period of time. And so I want to do that because, you know, 1 year is 1 year, right? But when you take more years and you throw them into something such as this, I want to give you guys that view, okay? So that bird's eye view of what that looks like, okay? So now if we take if we recap for you the real estate agent scenario. Now I ran for you 2024 to 2025, okay? And so we know that that year they made 111,400, okay? So what we had to do is divide that out by 12 to give us 9,283. Okay. So that's when you divide it by 12, that's what you get. So that's what we're using as their average income. Okay. We know what their expenses are. Their expenses really haven't changed and their expenses are listed over here. Okay. So 80, 60. So those really haven't changed. But what we are changing in this scenario is we're going to go back to 2023, 2024. Okay. And in this year, as you can see, we have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and then January starts all over again, right? So they made $102,145, and then you divide that by 12 to get you the 85. Okay, the 8512, which is what we ran this on after that. Okay, so when you look at the income this way, and we go and we run our expenses, okay, so we take a look at this and we're going to then, again, we know that our home equity line of credit limit is 126, okay? And they had a home equity line of credit, they had an American Express, and they have Home Depot, okay? So here again, let's just recap. The cash flow now is 452, so it's a little bit less in this first year, okay? So it's a little bit less in this first year. So we've got a mortgage of 402,156. Divide that out. Their payment then is 2,411. I see the bar and I think division, duh. So 2,411, that's at 6%. Their first car here, 35,879, 680 is the payment, 5.2 interest rate, 5-year payback, 4,943. Car 2 is 46,770, and their payment on that is 88.7 at a 4.5% interest rate, 5 years again at 58.66. Okay. So between the mortgage and the two cars, we're looking at 484,805 in debt. Okay. And then the debt payments there are 39.68. All right. Now they have the same HELOC. We're using the same numbers, 52,680. Their payment is 482, and that is interest only. And I think I said 2020 or 22 years in my last video. It's not, you guys, it was 77. I don't know if I'm dyslexic or what, or if I like flipped the 7 upside down. I don't know what I did. But I'm pretty sure I said 22 months, but it's 22 years. It's not. It's 77 years if you run this at interest only. Okay. Obviously, pretty much nobody's going to do that unless they know they're going to, refinance their house and leave it, or if they're planning on, selling their house and they don't care. Nobody really does that, right? But we're going to run the numbers as if they were going to leave them that way, okay? So 396,321 would be the payback on that, which is completely ridiculous, right? When you think about it. All right, so we've got the American Express again, 12,561 for 366. That's 23%. Again, it's a 5-year payback. And $8,095 is what they would owe if they let that term out. We've got Home Depot again. We're starting at the 80/60 divided by, I did it again, not divided by. The payment on that is 242 at 24%. All right. Again, 5 years because it's 1% plus the interest. And that would be $5,354 if we let these term out, right? Okay. So without the home equity line of credit, we're looking at $24,258. But we can't do that because we do have the home equity line of credit, right? So if we take this number and we add it to this number, we're going to get $420,579. We haven't even touched on this side of it, right? With the mortgage. So this is what we would owe, okay, in just these debts here. Now, They have a home equity line of credit, okay? That home equity line of credit, 126, so 126,000. They currently have $52,680 on it. So what we've done and what we did in the last video, same thing. We took our car payment, right? Because we want to fit these things in here. So we took the car payment, the home equity line, the American Express, and the Home Depot. We paid those off, leaving our 887, okay, and our 241, okay. So we're leaving those obviously because we can't fit a $402,000 mortgage inside of a $126,000, okay. Now, when you take a look at this, okay, and we're running our income, I'm not really taking this income here on the average. I'm actually going to take their real numbers, right? And I'm going to run them with the real numbers. This just gives us an idea, if you averaged it, what their cash flow would be, all right? But I am using the numbers from each one of these months, okay? And so we're going to run this down. Now, if we had started this, right, in 2023 and we carried it for 2 years, what would this look like? And that's what I'm going to go over for you today. So now we start at the 109, 180, just like we did in the previous video, okay? Again, covering those debts. Now, our first month here is 5324. So if we put all of our income in, remember, what makes Velocity work, you guys? It's the income in and the expenses out and dropping your average daily balance quickly, right? It's dropping that balance quickly that saves you money in the long run and makes this 11% interest rate not 11%. It actually lowers that because you are dropping it rapidly by putting your income in. And this is the secret to velocity banking, you guys. This is what the banks do not teach us, okay? If you put your income in, all of your income, and run all of your expenses out of a line of credit, so what does that actually look like? Okay, let's go over that real quick, right? So that means your money, your direct deposit goes into that checking account, stays in the checking account, right? It's in that checking account. And then from there, you're making a payment of your entire check amount to that line of credit. Okay, so the entire 5324 from that income that month is going to go against this home equity line to pay it down. It's like your payment, okay? So when you make that payment of that dollar amount, that means you have nothing left over out of that checking account, right? Right, obviously you don't. So what happens is that home equity line of credit is connected to that checking account. That checking account then is what you pay your bills from, okay? So as you pay your bills, it's pulling from that home equity line to cover, okay? So that should be done as a service, like a free service to you. If not, you'll have to manually move it, okay? Because you don't want to be charged for this. So you'd have to manually move it when you know your bills are coming out, okay? Little bit more labor intensive, but you guys, again, this is a digital age. You guys can get on your banking 550 times a day if you want to see things happening in real life, okay, in real time. So you can move that. If you know that and you guys know when your bills are due, right? You do this every month. You do this probably a couple times a month. You know when those bills are due, so you pay attention to that and you're paying it out of your checking account. That's all you're doing here. Same thing. You're just going to move the money as it comes over, okay? So comes from that line of credit, right? Goes into that checking account, pays your bills. As your direct deposit comes into that checking, you then take the money from the checking, you make a payment to that line of credit, okay? Money in, money out, direct deposit in, expenses out, drop that balance through the average daily, through that large deposit to drop that average daily balance. All right, so old hat here, right? Old hat, you guys get this. So we've got 109, 180, you're dropping it by the 5324. Now these are all new numbers, right? So this is your 5324. So you have to then, so the 109 becomes 103, 856. You're adding in your monthly expenses, which is 6920. You're adding those back in. And then you're calculating your interest for that line of credit. So let's review this. How do we calculate the interest on a line of credit? Okay, so how do we know what that's going to be? Okay, so as I explain quite often, and I'm happy to do it again for you, and if I'm boring you, sorry guys, but there are people out here that don't know this. So we're going to take the 109 and we're going to add it to the 103, okay? So what we're doing is we're getting an average here. So 109, 180 plus 103, 856 equals, okay, so it equals 213,036. We then are going to divide that by 2, okay? So I'm dividing it by 2. It equals 106, 518. Then we take that and we're multiplying it by 0.11. What is the 0.11? That is our 11% interest rate. So once I do that, okay, multiplied it by that, it's going to give me 11,716. I then divide that by 12 because we do not want a year's worth of interest. If I were to leave it, that would have been a year's worth of interest. Dividing it by 12, again, gives us our 976. Okay, so that's how I'm getting it. And I'm doing this every single month to figure out what my interest is. And you can see, okay, now, again, the idea is when you're running velocity banking, a strategy, and you have income that is steady, you want to see those numbers decline every single month. You want to see the interest go down, and you want to see your overall payment amount go down, right? It's going to go down. Now, in this case, because these guys have inconsistent income, it is going to fluctuate, right? So it's going to look like an investment graph, okay? It's really what it's going to look like. But we're going to see if it's okay at the end of the day, all right? So now we've dropped our balance, right? So now we have to have our expenses come out, our interest is added in. So now we're back up to 111,752. It's higher than what we started out with. It's okay. We know that's going to happen because remember, January, February, and March, right? Those are leaner months, okay? As we get into the summer for real estate agents, that's going to get more bountiful, right? It's going to be better because people are really moving and looking at homes, right, in the summer months because that's when the houses show better. And that's really what people do, okay? So in the summer months, they're looking. Spring and summer, best time to move houses. So that's why in the second quarter here, we're looking better. We're looking a lot better. And then as it comes, you round into the fourth quarter, things start to look, a little bit worse again, right? Because you're coming into winter. So now we're going to go through and we're going to run our transactions, right? We're going to run these through. So we're at 111, right? 752. Income comes in. It's a pretty lean month, right? So now we're at 108,783. Expenses, interest, right? Our interest is going up. Of course it is because we had a lean month. So we're borrowing from our home equity, right? Okay, so now we've got 116,713. It's higher than this. We know it's going to be. We have a little bit better month, but it still doesn't overcome our expenses now, does it? So that leaves us with 110,503, okay? So we're still not going in the right direction yet. We've got 6920 plus 1,041. So now we're at 118,464, and I believe this is our, nope, it's not our high point yet. So now we have our next month of direct deposit coming in. It's 7382, right? So we've got 7382 drops us to 11182, okay? Expenses, interest again. So we're at 119,504, okay? So 119,504. Now this is our high, but we have a killer month, right? Don't we? We have a killer month. It's 15,912. So they have 15,912 come in, drops their balances to 103. Now we're below where we started, okay? You add in the 6920, you add in the 1018, we're at 111.80, but then we have another good month. So 11,000 comes into our home equity and drops our balances quickly down to 99, okay? So we're looking pretty good now. We've got 6920 plus our interest rate, and that leaves us with 107,292. Then we have our best month of the year, which is 18,767, drops us to 88,525, okay? Starting here, ending here. Now we have our expenses come out. We have our interest come out. Again, your high, your low added together, averaged, right? Multiplied by 0.11, divide that by 12, okay? So 6920, 897, right? So now we're going in the right direction. We're at 9634 after all that. We drop it again. We have another good month by 10,621. So now we're at 85,721. We add in our expenses. We add in our interest. We're at 93,475. Then we have another great month, right? So 11,462. So 11,462 drops that. I need a subtraction. Sorry, guys. Drops them to 8213. Expenses, interest comes in. Remember, our interest is now going in the right direction. we're at 89,737. Okay, so 89,737 is where we start the month. We come in with the 51,81. Okay, so now we're getting back into some lean months, and we are not overcoming our expenses at this point, are we? Okay, so we know we're going to go back up the other way. All right, so now we're going in the wrong direction, right? Until we get to, all right, so until we get into the next year. But here's the thing. So we did 12 months, okay? So in this 12 months, we're at 93,383, okay? So 93,383. That is where we're starting our new year. But here's what I want you to notice. Even though it's gone back up, this 93,383 is lower than the 109,180, isn't it? Okay. And that is what we want to accomplish here. Okay. So we know we're averaged out over this year. But as long as in our new year, we're starting lower than we started with to begin with, right? We should be okay. As long as we don't have all bad months, right? If we have all bad months, then we're just continuing to borrow from that home equity. Okay. But that isn't the case, is it? They actually had their best year here. So if we let this go, all right, we run this down, all right. So I'm going to have to flip sides here because I got pinched and squeezed off that side. So if we do this, right, and we start at 93,383, and we're going to run this again for another 12 months, all right, as you can see, we go up, we start to come up, then we come back down, okay, we come back down, and now here it starts to flip and go back up, right, because we're coming into some leaner months again. But at the end of the year in 2024, okay, they would have stopped at 66,831. Now, is 66,831 less than or greater than where they started from? Well, it's less than, and that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish here, okay? So now we have 2 years where we started at 109, we are now ending at 66,831. They had no savings. They had no savings to speak of, nothing that they could really draw from at this point because they kept depleting their savings over and over and over again. Then they had to go to credit cards, and then the credit cards got up. So it was a vicious cycle, right? And that's what all of you guys are doing. I get it. Dan and I have been there. So rather than play the traditional banking game, you play the velocity game because this is where you're going to win. So give me a second. I'm going to rework some the graph for you. I really want you guys to see the graph so you see what this looks like and you can see how over time this looks, okay? So give me just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, and as you can see, I have finished the graph for you, okay? So the freedom graph, the debt freedom graph. So you can see where we started, right, with our year here, 2023, 2024, okay? So we began over here at 109,180. Now remember, we took a car payment, 2 credit cards, and a store card. Okay, so those were all rolled in. I'm sorry, home equity line, a credit card, and a store card, and a car loan. Okay, now we have at this point completed this. Well, we haven't completed it, but we've gotten down to we have 2 years down under our belt. Okay, and I want you guys to see the graph. So now we've started at 109. All right, and remember, we start to go up here, okay? Our high point is $119,054, okay? And that's because we had to borrow from our line of credit because we had leaner months, all right? Without this, this couple would have nowhere to go, okay? So their debts would have just kept continuing to increase. And yes, this is increasing, but overall and over time, that's what we're gonna talk about. So we're at 119,504. They then have some good months and, you know, they start dropping it, right? So they get down here and 89,737 is where is the lowest point in what they owe for this first year, okay? And then as you can see, things start to creep back up because that's when they come into their leaner months, and then they start out the next summer or the next spring, well, early winter, whatever, with with the leaner months as well, okay? And then it comes up. But if you notice, you guys, your high point is never the 119,54, right? The highest we ever get is 111,095, all right? So high point, this is now our high point in the second year, but it hasn't even approached that. So we're still under that by $8,000, right? And so then they have some good months again, it drops them, and then they start to drop here and they drop here. Now, at the end of that graph, some of you probably caught it. I didn't subtract. There was 1 month that I missed subtracting out. So I had two subtractions instead of a subtraction, an addition, and a subtraction. So I had to go and recalculate that for you. I didn't run it in the graph here, but I have it corrected here in the math in where we have 2023 to 2024, okay? So they dropped their loan in that first year then by $15,797. Coming into year two, okay, remember they started at a lower point, and they then dropped the loan by $23,552. Now, as you can imagine, if they go year three, year four, and it might end by the end of year four. I don't think it goes into year five. It goes into like 4.5 or 4 3/4. But and of course that depends also on their income, right? So if their income remains steady like this, then they'll be out of this in no time. And so remember, it was going to take 77 years to finish that home equity loan or line of credit, sorry, their home equity line of credit, had they continued to pay that minimum payment, which they were, because things were so unpredictable, they just didn't know what to do. And so now they have a plan. Now they have a place to go. So I don't see them being in this longer than 5 years. And I think it's going to be less than that. I think they're going to be out of the car loan completely, the home equity line of credit, the American Express card, and that Home Depot card, which, yes, it was rolled into the home equity line of credit. But all those debts then, I think, will be completely gone by the time 5 years hits. And not only that, by then, the other car loan should be done. These guys are going to be out of debt by then. They will be done, finished, finito, right? It's all gone. So this is why we do velocity banking, you guys. And this is why we bring it to you. This is why we teach it. Again, my name is Jen. Sometimes you get Dan. He should be running a video probably tomorrow for you. And so that one will be a really good one too. It's another really great client scenario that we had, or I should say student scenario, right? Because you guys aren't clients to us, you're students to us, just as we are. We're still students of velocity banking. We're still learning things every single day about velocity banking and about credit cards and how they work and interest rates. And, we're always learning, and we're always bringing that to you. So my job is to educate you. Your job is to get yourself debt free. Have a great day, guys. See you next time.